Welcome, Benzinga Nation. You know we love to bring on executives from publicly traded companies so we can ask them the tough questions, and we've got a great interview lined up with Brian, who is from Diamond Lake Minerals. Ticker on the OTC markets is DLMI. Brian, thank you so much for joining us.
Great to be back, Sinead. How are you today?
Doing great, man. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. But for the folks at home that might not have seen our conversations in the past, give us a quick overview of what is it that your company does.
Yeah. And the ones that have, I apologize for the repetition. So Diamond Lake Minerals, ticker is DLMI. We are a multi-strategy operating company. So think of us like an old school GE structure. We identify companies that we want to be involved in. So we would be industry agnostic in that approach. The fun thing about our company, besides the traditional principles of business and mechanisms we have in place on building these companies, is that we have a security token component built into our business model. So we can invite investors and capital from all over the world to buy into our businesses.
Now, I want to talk about halving, right? We recently touched on another interview, and we'll kind of tie things back here as well. After that's kind of taken place, are you kind of worried that, hey, the hype might be done in terms of that? Or do you feel like investors, especially the traditional ones, are still going to try to pile into it?
From our standpoint, it's no bearing on our business model and what we're doing and what we're building. What was great about it was I think that date allowed for companies like BlackRock to get in and have their ETF out and going before that actually happened. So what it did for companies like us and hopefully future companies that want to be in this space or have some component of their business in this space is that it allowed for regulation to start to think about how do we apply old antiquated rules and laws to the new future of digital assets. And the only way things like that happen is if the big boys come to the table and start playing in that space. So it's good to see that happening now. As far as, there's going to be continued support and momentum behind Bitcoin with everything that's happening in future countries that start to adapt it and future large institutional banks and obviously governments that start to bring it in and be part of their entire, treasury and their systems.
Makes perfect sense. I mean, people in like Venezuela use it to buy coffee, right? Yeah. So we've seen that government kind of adapt to it quite a bit. Let's go and bring that conversation to the tokenization aspect of it as well. And what do you hope will come from this in that world of tokenization?
Well, you're going to start to see the tokenization mechanism at some point be applied to everything. It'll sit in the back of your phone, and you're probably not even going to realize it's happening as far as a digital wallet created and then that token ledger being instilled onto whatever transaction that you're involved in. For us, it's real world assets. It's understanding the rules and regulations with the security token offering, and applying it to wonderful industries like the commercial real estate industry, which is going to be in dire need of liquidity. And we believe this is a great solution for that. We're looking at it in the scheme of what does royalties look like in the traditional ways of music and IP, and how can a tokenization model change the whole landscape of fans or followers or lovers of that celebrity, that musician, that actor, actress, or that film? Can it be applied into a token environment where now all of the people that actually love that artist can actually be part of their career and buy into maybe a piece of their music or a piece of their IP? So these are the things that we're looking into it. I'm excited to see it evolve into a form where it's for humanity. This is something now that anybody can have access into buying something that they never had access to. That's what excites me about the whole idea of tokenization and digital wallets, is that it's not just the 1%ers of the world anymore. Once this rolls out, you create liquidity and access and opportunities for anybody with a mobile phone that has a digital wallet to be able to invest into something and to buy something that they were usually shut out of, or there was a regulatory regional restriction because they weren't living in that country or didn't have businesses in that country.
What do you think the biggest misconceptions are, right? Because there's some people that are not a fan of it. Why do you think that might be? What are they getting wrong?
It's nobody's fault. What's getting wrong is that there's 100 terms that are thrown out there in this space, and there's confusion and chaos. People don't really understand yet, and it's no fault of their own, between what is crypto, what is an NFT, what is a digital asset, what is a security token, what is Bitcoin, what is Ethereum. It's like there's a lot that got thrown out into the world. So once you can start to understand the difference between a crypto, which we are not a crypto company, we are a security token focused company within our business model. A security token goes through all the rules and regulations and offerings that you would have of any series round. So there's a lot more compliance and a lot more materials and a real business that's being put out into the market that's backed by what you hope are seasoned professionals that are going to protect that business and protect the investments coming in for that business. When it's crypto, it's, hey, you have no idea who put a crypto coin out into the world, what basement they're living in, and what hype that they're just on Twitter or Discord 24/7 promoting something that doesn't really have any real asset, in my opinion, or really any business or really backed by anything besides demand and popularity and hope. So there's a big difference there. So for us, and for me, it's been security tokens are the perfect mechanism for the future of digital assets to help transition to people understanding this is something that lives on a blockchain. This is something that has true transparency as to proof of ownership and proof of transaction and a lot more efficiencies in those transactions. So we'll get there. It took people a long time to trust buying a stock online. They love calling their broker, but now they do that every day, 20, I don't say 24/7 during the stock market hours. And we'll get to a point where people understand security tokens and then the crypto environment where they feel much more comfortable about it. And they do it like they do anything else when they're buying and selling anything.
Let's go ahead and kind of switch gears a little bit, right? You have DLMI that is committed to the ESG efforts because you've planted a few thousand trees thus far with your partner, Evertree. Give me a little bit of insight on that.
Evertree's a great partner. There's a lot of players out there that are applying their business model into deforestation attempts. For us and my private holdings, Esposito Intellectual Enterprises, we actually did that first and then moved it over into a DLMI campaign. It's a great thing to do. Hey, first and foremost, so if every company, small or large, were doing this, we'd make a much bigger difference. I firmly believe it's the easiest and quickest thing we can offset any climate change that we either may or may not be doing. I'm not going to get into that conspiracy theory, but if there's anything that we can do within our means, that seems to be the easiest thing to start going out there and doing. But what's interesting about Evertree is their technology advancements. We know where these trees are being planted. There's proof of it. So we start to look at, okay, that's really interesting and how that could be applied to blockchain and some of our technologies and solutions. So, we're starting putting that partnership together in a campaign that I hope we plant millions of trees around the world based upon DLMI's parent and all the other companies that we're involved in there that we're partnered with. And at some point, it would be really interesting to see if what we're doing and building in the regulatory and compliant component and actually being hands-on planting these trees and looking at what is the carbon offset of these trees, is there a way for us to actually participate in things like carbon credits or things like sort of new initiatives or government programs where we can continue to roll out more of these and hopefully even be able to provide value to our shareholders. And maybe there's a security token component to this partnership at some point. So that's where we're at. But right now, it's a campaign that we're proud of, that we're going to continue to do. And it may actually turn into a beneficial business of ours as we continue to build a relationship.
What is next in terms of tokenization story, right? What's next on the horizon for y'all? What can folks expect that's in the pipeline here?
Absolutely. Well, we're proud to announce our partnership with Boxable, which we did last month with you. So the tokenization aspect of DLMI and our real estate division, which we would be rolling out Boxable Villages once we identify properties and partners in that space to finance and build out these wonderful villages and invite investors again from all over the world to be able to be part of the revenues of those villages and creating value again for our stockholders. So there's that aspect. We also announced great partnership with Jerry Greenberg, who's a phenomenal friend and icon in the music industry. He's the youngest executive at Atlantic Records. He launched some of the biggest names in music you can imagine, and his book is coming out, Whole Lot of Music. So my personal holdings, we partnered together, and through that relationship and understanding the music industry, which has been something I've loved to be in over the last decade, and working with an icon and respected individual like this, that's how you start to begin conversations as, how does tokenization and security tokens apply to the music industry? How do we look at IP and change the game as far as what new financial mechanisms can we create, again, in a regulatory framework to create liquidity for these artists, to help we'll call starving artists, which are usually of the over 100 million musicians out in the world that have 10,000 fans online or lower. They're out there doing the best that they can to continue to build their music career. They're waiting on tables, they're driving Ubers or Lyft, everything that artists want to do to survive. Maybe we have a mechanism here now that we can help continue to fuel their career and have their friends and their fans invest into the future of their music. Like every industry that I'm in, sometimes it's not about money. Money doesn't always buy you access. It's the relationship. So having the relationship with Mr. Greenberg is something very dear to me. And if you look at DLMI's advisors and some of the icons we have, their support and friendship means the world to me. But more importantly for our shareholders, it's the relationship and the respect they have in their industries and how we're going to be able to operate in those industries to provide value for our company.
Amen to that. It's who you know that gets you to the meeting. It's what you know that gets you the contract signed. But always a great conversation with you, man. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, pal. Have a great day.
You too. That is Brian, who is a CEO of Diamond Lake Minerals. Ticker on the OTC markets is DLMI.